Hey everybody, Nicole Bowman here, psychic, medium, and intuitive artist. So I'm going to wait for people to come into the room. I know it's late, but I just had a feeling that would be a good idea to do a live tonight. And since TikTok is changing yet again, okay, and I think this app is going to continue to change, I was thinking I would just do a live tonight. So I'm going to wait for everyone to come into the room, and I know it's late. It's definitely late on my end. I'm sure it's late on a lot of other people's ends as well. I just put up the monthly forecast on my Gumroad site. So if you go to gumroad.com/live the light, you can read the monthly forecast. But the title tonight for our live is Let Go to Hold On. And the reason why I'm doing that title is because that was a theme that Spirit was giving me for this month of April. We're going to be doing a lot of letting go. So let me just wait and see. I'm waiting for people to come into the room. Um, and I know it's pretty quiet. Hey, everybody. Nicole Bowman here, psychic, medium, and intuitive artist. I want to say hello to everybody who is coming into the room tonight. Um, the chat is moving very, very fast. So tonight I'm going to be talking a little bit about the month of April of 2025. I do have a more comprehensive forecast on my website. If you go to nicolebowman.biz and click the channel messages, or you go to my bio here on TikTok and click the link tree, it'll take you to April 2025 and you can listen to the forecast. It's a little over 20 minutes. But I wanted to come in tonight and talk to everybody because I think that, especially in the United States of America, we are experiencing a lot of shock and awe, and that is paralyzing people with fear, or it's causing people to panic and spiral out of control. And so, one of the biggest messages that Spirit was saying today is they were saying to really keep your wits about you. You know, 2025 is obviously a year of great change, definitely. But it's really, really important. Have a relationship with Creator, have a relationship with God. If you have a relationship with God, you have a relationship with Creator, with your muertos, with your spirits, that is going to allow you to move through this year, right? Um, oh, I just saw a couple of people typing in the chat. If you're just coming in, thank you so much for the hearts, guys. Thank you for the support. I appreciate y'all. My name is Nicole Bowman. I'm a psychic, medium, and intuitive artist. Um, just a guy says, say it louder for the people in the back. Okay, I don't know what you mean by that. You can, if you can clarify. Oh, and I want to make sure as well. Can everybody hear me? Just type yes in the comments if you can hear me. I'm wearing my earphones and I have a tendency sometimes to touch them and I turn them on and off. And so I don't always know if people can hear me. Oh, you can hear me. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Wendy, for supporting. Wendy just got a number 2 glitter badge. I appreciate you so much. Hello, Charisse. Hello, PJ and Orlis, sorry, and Ruben. So tonight is kind of going to be a little bit of free form, but we're going to talk about the month of April a bit. If you all have any questions about what I see happening psychically in the United States of America or around the world, I'm open to answering some of those questions tonight. If you want to support me, there are a lot of different ways you can do that. One of the ways is just being here right now and being active and sharing and being in community online. You can also follow me on TikTok. You can follow my page, share my videos. Any of those things are supportive. You can definitely, oh, I appreciate you so much for sending a gift. Thank you. Thank you so much. That's so kind of you, Wendy. You can send a gift if you want. You can also go to my link tree and donate, click buy me a coffee, whatever you choose to do. And really more than anything, just be here and share some positive energy and positive thoughts. But I want to talk about the month of April. So one of the major things that Spirit was saying is that it's really important to stay calm. You know, we're in the midst of a mass spiritual awakening in the United States of America, and it may feel like things are going to get worse before they get better, but they will get better. But it's going to take a period of time. This is not going to be an easy time. I've talked sort of like ad nauseum. I've been saying this for years about stocking up on food, stocking up on dry goods and different things that you might need. I mean, I and many psychics that I know have been saying that for probably a good year and a half to 2 years, because some of us have kind of sensed and felt some of this coming. So if you haven't done that already, you should do that. But it's not really about panicking, right? Have a strong relationship with God, have a strong relationship with spirit, have a strong relationship with your higher power. And oh, Penny is here. Hey, Penny. And Jem says we are resilient and always have been. 100%, 100%. There's that old saying that tough times don't last, but tough people do, right? And it is quite possible for us to move forward. It's quite possible for us to survive. And we can and we will. We are going to survive. Um, it is going to require us to let go of things, though. It is going to require us to drop certain weight, right? So if you have self-defeating thoughts or patterns, I especially felt, and I just got a flash of this, and I feel like I'm tuning into people that might be in the room. If you have any addictions, now is the time to kick it. Now is the time, because anything that you are addicted to, anything that you are bound to, it drains you. It drains your energy. It drains your soul, and it makes it so much more difficult to survive. For some reason, I'm kind of just feeling, and I think this is also tied into the pandemic. I know during the pandemic, everybody was drinking or doing whatever they were doing, but a lot of people came out of the pandemic dealing with and struggling with addiction. And admittedly, a lot of people went into the pandemic having addiction, but they came out of it very clear about that. And a lot of people got sober. I'm feeling that now as well. In these times that we are in, I think it could be very easy to fall into addiction or to let your sobriety go because you're feeling helpless, right? And so you're wanting to self-soothe and you're wanting to numb and you're wanting to feel better. And I get that and I understand that, but just be aware that substances are really not the way. They're not going to be able to help you with that, right? Make sure you get out in nature. Make sure you connect with God. If you go to church, if you go to synagogue, if you go to temple, however you express your relationship with your higher power, do that as much as you possibly can. As much as you possibly can. And I cannot stress the importance enough of being at home and eating at home and cooking your meals at home. And I cannot stress the importance enough of praying over every meal. I know that sounds like so elementary and basic, but when you pray over things, you really do set an intention for what you want to experience. Jem says, I'm in the gym now, getting mentally and physically stronger. That's fantastic. Yeah, I don't do the gym anymore. I work out at home a lot, but today I did yoga, and then after that I did some weightlifting, and and then I went for a really long walk. And I don't know, I guess I have been influenced because I actually do the weights on your wrist, the bangles, whatever you call those things. I put those on when I go for long walks. And let me tell you, I can definitely see the difference because my upper body is a lot more defined than my lower body, for sure. We're getting there, but I could see the difference with with those little bangles. But yeah, I think it's important to get your physical body as strong as you possibly can, for sure. But also mentally and emotionally get really strong. And this is a time as well, I think, for clearing out a lot of stuff. If there's anybody in your life that you're not sure about right now, people that you don't know if they like you, you don't know if they do or they don't. This is actually a time to get rid of certain things. We don't have time for ambiguous energy anymore. We no longer have time for that. We need to be in an energy that is certain, in an energy I'm with you, you're with me, I rock with you, you rock with me. If you don't have that, I would say there are certain energies that you just need to clear out. Right. It's interesting doing readings for a lot of people. I do a lot of love and relationship readings where people will ask, how does this person feel? What are their intentions? Things like that. Let me tell you something about 2025. This is a year where people are pretty clear about where they stand. So if you have to question how somebody feels or what they're thinking or what their intentions are, there is a very high chance that that person is not meant to walk with you this year. And I'm not saying that they couldn't come back around. I'm not saying that you couldn't reconnect at a later date. I'm not saying any of that couldn't happen. But right now, like, we are in some really challenging times. If they're not showing up now, baby. Jim says, happy I ran into your live. You're a light, a true gift to us all. Oh, I appreciate you, Jim. Thank you. I feel like so are you. I feel like you are as well. I will say, yeah, I want to talk about this a little bit, because one of the things that I'm also seeing, it's kind of a theme, but I've been noticing it more and more, is people who are in a lot of pain. And by pain, I'm talking more emotional pain. And this is more connected to love and relationships. And I'm noticing people getting readings because they just want to be out of their pain. Like, they don't want to experience the pain anymore. The reality of walking a spiritual path, the reality of healing, the reality of coming into awareness is that you will experience pain. You may experience suffering, but you're going to also experience a lot of other amazing things too. You're going to experience joy. You're going to get clarity. You're going to have self-awareness. You're going to be strong. Like, there's so much beyond just pain that you will experience, right? Don't allow readings to be the thing that you use to try to regulate your emotions. As a human being, we're going to feel a full range of emotions in these physical bodies: hope and joy and fear and embarrassment and shame and everything in between. Every emotion you feel is a messenger. It's there to tell you something about yourself. It's there to give you knowledge. It's there to give you information. It's there to let you know what's going on. Oh, Jennifer says she just followed me. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you. Yes. And if you would like to follow me, absolutely go right up to my page and follow. I think we have I feel like it's like 1,000 people coming in and out of the room. Yeah, please like the live if you can. I think there's capacity to do it. If you want to share the live with people and let them know that I'm live, please, the more the merrier. And you can also follow me. Follow me here. You can also find me on Meta. If you are on Meta, you can find me under Nicole Intuitive and Nicole Bowman, which is my name, Nicole Bowman. And you can also just go to my website, NicoleBowman.biz. Everything is there, from my social media to my mailing list to everything, or my link tree, which is in my bio here on TikTok. And you can go to either one of them and you can follow me from there. All of my stuff is there. It's self-contained. Penny says, I'm still learning to live in the moment, being happy in the moment. Yeah. Sometimes it's challenging to be in the moment, Sometimes it's challenging, especially if you don't like the moment that you're in, or you don't like the season of life that you're in. A lot of times people will space out and tune out. And that's what I was saying about addiction. It's about spacing out and tuning out and sort of like numbing your emotions, right? Versus kind of saying, oh, this is my life and welcome to it. And maybe I don't like these things, and maybe I can't make changes immediately, but maybe there's one thing I can change, like I myself, I don't consume alcohol because it runs in my family. It runs on both sides. And so for the longest time, I didn't consume alcohol at all through college. There are times I think about people who had like their wild college days. And it's funny because I was in a sorority too, but I didn't drink at that time or anything. And it wasn't until a little bit later, once I started traveling, going to Europe, that I even drank alcohol at all. But I came to see that was just not the path for me. I came to see that I had the addiction gene. And so for me, I just couldn't consume it. So I just don't, and it's been some years at this point anyway. But for me, that's just, that's my personal path. And I think it's different for everybody. You have to do what you feel is best for you. But I mention it because I feel like we're going to see an uptick in addiction between now and about 2027, 2028. And the reason why I sense that is because there will be a lot of people that are trying to escape. They're going to be trying to escape. And I just, try as best you can to be present. Like, you may not like everything that is happening in your life. You may not like everything that you're experiencing. But if you numb it and like you tune out, then you're going to have years that pass, and then you're going to have to come back to yourself, and then you have to start right back up again. You feel what I'm saying? Like if you feel like you're behind now, if you descend into some sort of an addictive behavior, and it doesn't have to be alcohol, it doesn't have to be schmugs. I don't even know what I could say on here now because they're like bleeping everything, but it doesn't have to be that. It could be gambling. It could be sexual activity. It could be overspending. It could be anything that numbs you and takes you away from the reality of life. You know, you could fall into that and you could go down that rabbit hole for years. Penny says, I don't miss alcohol either. I quit many years ago and finally gave up cigarettes in 2019. Good for you. Good for you. Yeah, you know, for me, I used to smoke cigars, like not all the time, but I would smoke them to give, you know, honor to my spirits. And then I would sometimes smoke them because I like to smoke them. But it's been a couple of years. It's been, I think the last time I had a cigar was probably around 2022-ish, give or take. So it's been a couple years. It's been a couple. Um, but yeah, you know, for some reason, I just feel like I'm talking to somebody here that needed to hear that. I also want to talk about, like I said, love and relationships right now. You know, one of the big things is you have to determine what your goals are and what your value system is. You need to know who you are as a person, what you want, what you don't, what you believe. Then from there, that's how you invite people into your life. You know, what I often see, and I've experienced this myself, so I'm not saying anything I haven't gone through as well, but what I often see is that there are a lot of people, they'll start dating and they don't really know what their values are, or they don't fully know who they are. And so because of that, they will start to allow things that actually don't really feel good, but they're trying to have a relationship, they're trying to build connection, so they'll kind of just go with it. And then they often find themselves getting strung along or going at somebody else's pace and not at a pace that is right for them. You know, I will say, and Spirit stresses this so much, they're saying that if you're dating, you have to look for people who are kind. Look for people who are kind. That is really, really important. Oh, Scott is extremely misogynistic. You know what's interesting? I'm not even going to repeat what he said, but it's funny. It kind of reminds me of, and I think most of the ladies will get it. A lot of people will get it, actually. Uh, I don't know if you've ever been to a bar or somewhere, but you're just sitting minding your business, and then there's this really insecure man that starts negging you. And he negs you because he understands that you're not really paying attention to him. And so he's kind of like, well, I can't get her attention in a positive way because I don't actually have anything of value to offer or say. So let me get her attention in a negative way by saying negative things about her. And also let me do it publicly so I can try to pull rank and humiliate her in front of other people. You know what I call that? Since we're talking about tariffs, I call that the pretty tariff. Like a lot of times as a woman, when you're pretty, there are people who will have really negative adverse reactions to you. And because they're not spiritually aware and they're not emotionally stable, they will try to get your attention by basically like saying negative things to you, right? And what they're wanting is they're wanting an emotional reaction because that's the only attention they're going to get. So ladies, you got to understand this. Like, especially if you're dating, especially if you're going out to bars or clubs or anywhere like that, I really don't recommend those places to meet people, though. I don't recommend those places to meet quality people. Some people do. Some people do. Like I will say, many years ago when I was in a really serious relationship, the person I was engaged to, I did actually meet them out somewhere in nightlife. But, generally speaking, especially at bars, you have to understand that people are typically wallowing, right? They're sitting on a stool or whatever they're doing, and they're having their drink, and they're drinking, and they're drinking, and they're drinking. And if they don't have any positive interactions with women in their life, if they see a woman that they're attracted to, but they don't feel like they're good enough, the insults will come. And you got to be careful because those people are dangerous. They are dangerous. And it'll always be like, oh no, I'm just joking. I'm just joking. But it's not. It's not. So, yeah, a lot of times there are people that are verbally abusive. And we have one of them in the chat, and he is crashing out in the chat. So, everybody, I would like you to just give Scott, like, take a moment and stare at him and give him the attention that he so desperately wants. Because he's emotionally unstable. I'm sorry. Look, I'm a psychic medium and intuitive. I can feel it, and I'm going to call it like I see it. Because in the year of 2025, we just got to be honest. But yes, he wants attention, and sometimes you will have that. But going back to that, because we gave him a little bit of attention and he's got it. So that's, he got his attention. I think he got his little energy boost that he seemed to enjoy. So he doesn't have anything better to do. And what's so interesting too is that, and this is important for the ladies, but also for the gentlemen. But really, but let's actually use this as a psychic development course, right? People will try to pull on your energy, right? They'll try to pull on your energy. And sometimes people will have energy that is really, really negative. And rather than fighting and sparring with that person, use humor. Use humor. Because dark energy, low level energy, ineffectual energy, the thing it can't stand is laughter. It has no sense of humor. If you've ever noticed people that are like super, super negative, and they'll say they're funny and they'll say they like to laugh, but they're not really funny. They don't like to laugh. They're sarcastic. Their humor is making fun of other people, right? That's not fun. Like, if I can laugh at myself, and then I could laugh at you, and then you could laugh at me, and we could laugh at each other, that's humor. That's joy. That's laughter. But putting people down and degrading them, and unfortunately, we're going to see a lot more of this antagonistic behavior, especially if you're out, ladies. Like, you could just laugh at them, just laugh in their face, just laugh in their face. Or, you could also leave, it's really up to you. But just understand that when you have a certain energy and you exude a certain level of power, it polarizes people. And there are people that are going to love you. There are people that are going to hate you. There are people that are going to be very confused by you. But this really right now, for people who've always said like they want to understand psychic development, and they want to understand energy vampires, and they want to understand how they work, this is happening right now. We have a person who is an energetic vampire who is in the chat. And unfortunately, he is crashing out in the chat. Somebody says, girl, you have patience. I do have patience, but what he's also said is he has threatened to block me. And I say, please do. Please do. Because why are you still here? I'm happy to teach psychic development. I'm happy to teach reversals, which I'm doing right now with this gentleman, which is why he's crashing out, because he's not getting the energy that he wants, And you have to understand this when we're talking about tariffs and the pretty tariff. Ladies, if you are pretty, sometimes what will happen is people will make the assumption that life has been easy for you. Or they'll make the assumption that if you're single and you're pretty, they'll tell you that you're insane, right? And that's not it at all. Like, typically you tend to be pretty intelligent, but whenever you call somebody crazy, it's dismissive. So if they call you things like crazy, or if anything like that, just understand that you've triggered something in them, and you're actually triggering their own instability. Unfortunately, this gentleman is very unstable. I think he left, though. Yeah, I think he did. Phenomena says, did he go? Yeah, he did. He told me he was going to block me. He told me he was going to block me, which I think it looks like he did. I don't know. It's funny. Like, I do not know why I found what he did so amusing, but I did find it super amusing. Bill says, "Good morning from Michigan." Hi, Bill. I actually am from Michigan originally. I'm from Detroit, Michigan. That's my hometown. That's my hometown. But yeah, as I was saying though, ladies, this is it's a pretty tax, it's a pretty tariff. And what happens sometimes is that people will make the assumption that you've had an easier life than you've actually had. And so they try to make you pay a tax by taking things away from you. So it could look like insulting you, it could look like saying that you're unstable or you're not that pretty or you're not that attractive. You're probably going to see a rise in this right now because there are a lot of people that are lonely and there are a lot of people that are crashing out. They are. Um, so yeah, yeah. But did anybody get that? Did you understand like that that's how you do spiritual work to deflect things and to send things back to people? Because you don't have to hold people's stuff. That's why the title of this live tonight is Let Go to Hold On. You want to hold on to what is important and significant to you. But in order to do that, you have to let go of other things. You have to release other things. And sometimes you have to release the negative and abusive stuff from other people. Because even though sometimes things that people do may seem like, benign, if you will, that negativity can add up over time. So it's a really good idea to confront it right in the moment, to rebuke it right in the moment, and to not allow it to tread over everything. Yeah, Penny says release what no longer serves you. Absolutely. Absolutely. You have to. I don't know. It made me chuckle though. Somebody was like, I have a lot of patience. I do sometimes. It's still hard sometimes though. It most definitely is. I want to thank everybody who's here in the live tonight. Does anybody have any questions about 2025 or what is to come or what is to happen? Any questions at all? You can drop them in the comments. Phenomenal says that's why I don't go live. Yeah. Well, though, what it is too phenomenal is that unfortunately, there are just some deeply unhappy people in this world, and being a spiritual worker, I mean, I think even like when I was a little kid, I would feel like around me, the adults that were so deeply unhappy. There are a lot of people that are unhappy and they get energy by being passive aggressive because it takes a lot more energy to pull somebody up with you than to knock something down or to like sit and be self-reflective and be like, oh, I'm interested in this conversation. How might I contribute? That takes a lot more energy than just making a weird comment. It really, really does. It really does. But that's the thing. If a person cannot create, they will try to destroy. So like pay attention too. For some reason, I'm feeling this. Somebody in the chat is going through this. Pay attention to people that are not solution based in your conversations, meaning that like they always want to be contrarian. Like they always want to be like, well, we need to look at it. Well, if you looked at it that way, but they're never really contributing anything. They're always just contradicting. Contradicting is not a sign of intelligence. Phenomenal says, may I ask about someone who does the same thing to me? I walked away. Yeah. What is your question about them, Phenomenal? Yeah, just put it in the chat. Yeah, I think what it is that if a person doesn't know what their talents, gifts, and abilities are, if they don't feel like they have inherent worth and inherent value, they're trying to contribute something. So if they can't contribute anything in the form of creation, they will destroy. And a lot of times people that are just contrary destroy. Phenomenal says he's blaming me for walking away when I had enough. Well, he's blaming you because he doesn't want to face himself. Right? He doesn't, because also if he manipulates you and he puts the blame on you, then you wind up apologizing for things and he never has to be accountable. He wanted me to stay in the, absolutely. Well, because he was pulling your energy. You know, it reminds me of the trend that we're seeing on this app now, where people are like, I think about getting back in a relationship, but then I think about how I looked. And some of these women are like absolutely gorgeous. And then you see what they look like when they were in the relationship, and it's like the life has been drained out of them, right? Like abusers need a host. You know, it's so funny, phenomenal. I was thinking about this tonight. A number of years ago, I was in a relationship that was not healthy. It was definitely abusive in a lot of different ways. But had I come out at the time and said what was happening to me, nobody would have believed me, because this person was so nice to everybody. Like if we went out somewhere, they'd be buying stuff for everybody. Like if it was my birthday or something like that, they make a huge display publicly of buying me presents and all of this stuff. But then behind closed doors, they were not kind to me. Phenomenal was like, I was crying and sad all the time. He yelled at me for crying. Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know, because also crying has healing power too. Your tears have healing power, and it's a way of releasing the things that you need to let go of. But also, you know, it feels like this person was trying to control and monitor your emotions. Like he was trying to regulate your emotions. He was trying to say, you need to feel this way. Like you cry when I say cry. But you know what I also sense is like, it reads to me like this person was a bit sociopathic. And so they were probably very emotionally flat. And people that tend to be emotionally flat, it takes a lot for them to feel. So if they see people like just feeling genuine empathy and expressing it, that actually really, really irritates them, because it's hard for them to tap into that. It's hard for them to tap in. But I mean, I would just kind of say, you know, and Cherish says, it sucks so bad being with someone like that. It's damaging. It most definitely is, because also you suddenly do not trust your own emotions. You don't trust your emotions. You don't trust your judgment. He gave empathy to the wrong people. Yeah, you know, and it wasn't even empathy. It was manipulation. He was manipulating them. He would do nice things or say something that sounds really kind and really thoughtful. But all he was doing was he was laying the foundation so that later on, if he needed to come in and ask a favor of that person, he could get it. An empath, I'm learning to set boundaries and not drop down to their level. 100%. Yeah. Yeah. You know, I don't believe in always matching energy. Sometimes you do need to match energy. But I wouldn't even say match it. You need to send it back, if that makes sense. So meaning that if somebody is being antagonistic, you call out their behavior immediately and you don't hold it. Right. So you're not really matching their energy, but you are sending it back to them. Boundaries made him angry. 100%. Anybody who does not like your boundaries is somebody who has probably been lying to you. The same way that the only people that can't stand the truth are the people that have been lying. You are always in fight or flight mode, walking on eggshells, 100%. And the other thing too is that you never heal because you're constantly being re-traumatized. So like your nervous system is always on a level 10 and you're constantly being re-traumatized. So you never heal. You can never think clearly. You can never make good sound decisions, because every time you try to make a decision, they activate your nervous system again. And then you start back at square one. You look them in the eyes and ask, how have I wronged you? 100%. And they're not going to be able to give you, like, they're going to give you some really bizarre answer. It's going to be bizarre. Like they're going to take something, they're going to twist it. I remember years ago, like I'm not going to go into all the details of this, but there was this person in my life who really, they were using me. I mean, that's the only way I can describe it. And when our relationship finally ended, the justification they had, they said, I let money come between us. And I was like, I didn't let money come between us. You weren't paying for anything. Like I was paying for everything. Phenomenal says he used to make up stuff when I asked that question. Yeah, exactly. Or they'll just sort of twist it. You know, they'll sort of twist it. That does happen. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, people that are not like super, sorry guys, my allergies again. People that are not super creative, If you are a creative person, if you are an ambitious person and you are in a relationship with somebody who is like a little bit more sedentary and a little bit more complacent, people like that will get threatened by your ambition for sure. And they might try to get you to slow down. They might try to get you to quiet down. It's interesting because I was thinking about that today. Sorry, guys. I don't know. My eyes are watering. I was laughing from that previous situation with that person who was in the room before, laughing till I cried. He was intimidated by my ambition. Yeah. Unfortunately, abusive people, they are like, sometimes they have talents of their own, but the thing is, they have to be number one on the call sheet. You feel me? And like, if they're not number one on the call sheet and if they're not the one doing it all, they have an issue. They have an issue. Yeah. But yeah, many of us have gone through this in some way, shape, or form. And if you live long enough and you have enough experiences, you're either going to go through that directly or you're going to see somebody go through it. Phenomenal says, truth exactly. I was better at things that he was good. Yeah. I remember many years ago, the person that I was involved with, they actually told me, they said they were jealous of me because they felt like I could do things that they couldn't do. And then they would proceed to try to sabotage it. They will deny it, or why are you bringing up the past, even if it was 5 minutes ago? Absolutely. Like, the past could be 10 minutes ago. The past could be last week. Ray says, it took my daughter to bring it to my attention. Wow. It took your, can you expound upon that, Ray? Exactly. Yeah. 100%. 100%. But here's the thing too, in 2025, people are not going to be able to hide anymore. A lot of psychics, mediums, healers, astrologers, channelers, they've been talking about the veil lifting. And the veil is really this divide between the spirit world and the physical world that we're in. But that's not the only veil. The veil is also our awareness. It's also our consciousness. It's also our discernment as well. Like, there is a veil between one world and the next, but there are also veils in terms of what we allow in and what we allow ourselves to see. And what I'm finding is a lot more people, if you've noticed it, are masked off now. They're not hiding who they are anymore. So if you have to question how somebody feels about you in 2025, they probably do not need to be in your life. And if they are in your life, you probably need to keep them at a distance, like keep them on the periphery, because this is really, really a year of truth, right? Like, we've seen it. We've continued to see it. Donna says that happened to me. Yeah. For a lot of us, for a lot of us. I'm just looking in the chat. Phenomenal says he had other women in his life he wouldn't walk away from too. Yeah, because he was a vampire and he needed his supply, right? And a lot of times too, people that are extremely vampiric like that, they need different people for different things, right? So they may need one person because that person has money. They may need one person because that person satisfies them sexually. The other person might be a really great cook. The other person might offer a lot of emotional support. And you have to be careful. Men, women, non-binary folk, no matter what your sex or gender, no matter how you identify, narcissistic and vampiric people, also, they really look for healers. They look for spiritual people. What did he need me? Well, I just said it. You're a spiritual person. Spiritual people carry a lot of energy, especially if you have grown up in a household or an environment where you've been taught to undercut or devalue yourself. Have you ever noticed those little kids that are like almost like the counselors to their parents? If that makes sense, like almost like you see a mother with her child or a father with his child, and you looking at the little boy, the little girl, and you're like, oh, the little boy is the adult and the dad, and the dad is the little boy. Like, it's that type of energy. A lot of times healers are in environments like that. And what happens is you get your value from being selfless, right? So the more selfless you are, the more you give, the more you pour out, the more applause you get. But this is the thing, the universe needs balance. And we as human beings, we're a part of this ecosystem. We require balance too. So if all you're ever doing is giving away and giving away and giving away, then who takes care of you? What fortifies you? And this is why you see so many healers who may get sick or may have mental breakdowns or may be in a series of really negative and tumultuous relationships. That begins to stop when the healer heals themselves and they set boundaries. I've been there. A lot of healers have been there. That's why it's super important. Don't get into a relationship when you are emotionally not in a good space. Yeah, this is very important. Like, I completely agree with you. I was just reading what Cherish was saying. We talked about it a little bit before, but only get into relationships when you are like on top of the world, like looking the best you ever looked, feeling the best you ever felt, making your money, all of these things. Because if you get into a relationship in a low emotional state, a lot of times there is a hole, there is a gap, there's something about yourself that you don't see that a predator can see. And oftentimes what predators do is they will look for an opening, they will look for a weakness. And then whatever that weakness is that you have, they will capitalize on it. And then they'll make it seem like they're the one that can fulfill and heal that weakness. But the only energy that can heal that weakness is God. Because if you don't love yourself, then that's why you accept such. And I wouldn't say, sometimes it's a lack of self-love, but sometimes we accept the love that we think we deserve, right? So it's not that the person doesn't love themselves. It's that they may have been raised or programmed to accept a certain type of love, right? Like, if you think about it, people that have been raised in really dysfunctional and abusive households, until they come into self-awareness, they tend to be one of two extremes. They either tend to become the abuser, right, in some way, shape, or form, or become hyper vigilant, or the abused, until you come into awareness. We feel like we don't deserve 100%. Because think about it. Think about for a second how your primary caregivers treated you growing up. Think about what they taught you about love, if anything. Think about what they taught you about relationships, right? Until we come into a level of self-awareness, we often tend to mirror the things that we were taught early on. Healing time for me to learn to love myself the way I need to. Absolutely. And I think it's so important too, to know what you love and to know what you like. Because what you love and what you like, it's not too much for the right person, right? It's always important, not just in romance, but in friendships too. Connect with people that are on your level. I'm not saying they have to think everything you think and you have to be the exact same person. I'm just simply saying in terms of your level of consciousness and understanding, you need to be on a similar wavelength. Can healers heal themselves physically? You can, yeah. I mean, there's so many different ways to do it. But one of the things that I recommend is work with God, creator, higher power. And whenever you're having an issue, specifically with a certain part of your body, different parts of our body have different spiritual connections, right? So like, generally speaking, the left side of your body is the receiving side. The right side of your body is what you send out. So let's just pretend for a second that you were having a lot of pain and cramps on the left side of your body. Now, there might be a lot of other scientific reasons for that too, which is why you should go to a doctor. But on a spiritual level, if it's just the left side, what that means is that you might be having an issue with receiving. You might be having an issue with prosperity. You might be having an issue with allowing people to help you. And so ask yourself the question, is there something that I'm avoiding? Is there help or assistance that I'm refusing? Is there a love that's being given to me that I'm rejecting? And just think about it. And you can also set the prayer, Creator, I'm ready to let this physical condition go because I have learned the lesson. Thank you for the lesson. I'm ready to release it. And then I would also go to the doctor as well, because spirit works through doctors. Doctors are healers, right? So you can do your affirmations. You can tap in spiritually. You can visualize through different lights, a green light or a purple light, a violet ray, like things healing on your body. You can, put Reiki on different things that are given to you. But also, yeah, go to the doctor, see what's going on. Sometimes you do need a diagnosis, right? And the truth is too, typically once it's dropped down into the physical body, it had been in spirit before and now it's in the physical. So usually there may need to be some sort of physical intervention, medical intervention. It might not be surgery, but it may be some form of medical intervention, that may need to happen because it's become physical. But for the things that are in your mind or in your heart, I would ask yourself, is this even mine to carry? Because a lot of stuff inside of us is not even our stuff. I was thinking about this today, specifically for people who are artists. I'm an artist and I'm an intuitive. And right before I graduated from university, one of my teachers said to all of us, really, not just me, that as you move through the path of an artist and as you move through the path of an entrepreneur, you have to understand that your markers for success are going to look different than people who work a 9-to-5 job, right? So you might be at the height of your creativity, but you may not be making a lot of money doing it, right? And generally money, success, fame, that's how we reward each other in this physical plane. And so you have to be okay with the fact that your markers are going to look different. Like this person over here gets a promotion. This person over here gets a pension. This person over here has a 401k. You may not necessarily have those things, at least not right away. And so you cannot let those things define you. And what's interesting is what my teacher shared with me right before I graduated is what most Americans are going through now. It's not just artists anymore. Most people are being faced with, who am I really? Like, if I don't have the job, or if I don't have the pension, or if I don't have these things, who am I? If I strip myself all the way down to the bare bones, who am I? And a lot of people are realizing they don't know. And that's when people turn to addiction. That's when they turn to numbing themselves. That's when they turn to running away. And Spirit is saying, not this time. Do not run away. Face it. Face it. Face it head on. Admit that you're scared. It's okay. You're not going to be scared forever. And just because you're scared doesn't mean you have to be scared all day, every day. But the minute that you admit it and the minute that you face it, right? Thank you, Tiffany. I appreciate you. The minute that you face it, that's actually when you can start doing something. Like, that's why I want to talk about anger. A lot of times in spiritual communities, we're told not to get angry, or we're told to dissolve anger and let it go. I disagree with that. Anger is usually a sign that a boundary has been crossed. Oh, thank you, Phenomenal. Thank you for saying that. She says, I'm a great teacher. I appreciate you. Thank you. Anger is usually a sign that a boundary has been crossed. And you have to ask yourself, what happened there, right? Did I pretend to ignore something or look away from it? What happened there that I'm feeling this anger? Phenomenal says it's a true emotion. Allow yourself to feel it. Absolutely. Because this is the thing. The minute you feel it, you express it, you say out loud, it will usually just kind of flow through you and it'll eventually leave. But it's when we tell ourselves we're not angry or we're not sad or we're not whatever we are, that we stuff those emotions down. And yes, sometimes that can turn into sickness. That can turn into pain. That can turn into aches in our body, or it can just turn into emotional hurt. It can just turn into us being very triggered by people who are living their lives freely because we're not living our lives freely, right? Forgiveness, I found, is more for me than others. I completely agree with you. Yeah, for me, I feel the same way. And also, forgiveness doesn't mean you have to reconcile with the person. It means that you look at the situation, you see it for what it is, and you let it go. Phenomenal says, don't even know I am. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. A lot of times, you have to tune in. And I think for some people too, it's different for different people, but I think for some people when they are angry, they might go into a bit of a shock. if that makes sense. Like, so their body freezes up sometimes. That happens. For some people, they might start laughing nervously. And under that nervous laughter is actually anger and feeling uncomfortable because they don't like what's happening to them. So it's different things, different things. Oh, Phenomenal says, I was trying to say denial means I don't even know I'm lying to myself. Yeah, that actually is a brilliant point, because I experience it sometimes when I'm reading for people. You know, I always set the intention in the prayer that I connect with people that I can truly help. And so generally speaking, that tends to be the case. But there are times where sometimes people will come to me that are not in touch with their reality. Like, they're not wanting to accept what is right in front of them. Ed says, will Melody and I get married? Oh, you have to connect with me for a private reading for that. For that, you would need a private reading. You can go to NicoleBowman.biz and just click on my appointments and book an appointment. Or you can send me a message there. And I also do email readings as well. So you can do either or. And I guess since he asked that, I'll let you guys know, if you would like to get a private reading with me, you can go to NicoleBowman.biz and just click on my appointments page and you can book a reading. I have phone sessions and Zoom sessions if you're out of the country. And then I also just added email sessions. So my readings start at about $50 and then they go up from there. But the $50 sessions are for email readings only. And that's 2 questions. The phone readings start at $75 and that's for 15 minutes. And then they go up from there. And then I also have packages where if you purchase more readings, you get a discount. So you could do all of that there. Yeah, tonight we're not doing like specific questions like that, because that's more of a future prediction question. We're talking more in a general sense about the collective. So if you do have a question about like collective things, Ed, I'll answer that. But yes. Oh, thank you, Lulu. I appreciate you. She says, your skin is beautiful. Thank you. When I was a kid, I used to have acne-prone skin. I mean, I still do, actually. I still get acne to this day. I still do. But in full transparency, my skin is a little smoother because I did do the smoothing thing on TikTok. But I will say I appreciate you saying that, because I do have pretty good skin. I will say that. I've done my due diligence to make sure that my skin is clear. Yes. So, yeah. So a lot of times people are in denial, though. Sometimes I'll be reading for people and they're very much in denial about a situation, a person, an experience. And I would say this too, whether it's with me or any other reader you go to, make sure that you want to hear the truth of the situation. And I would also say, before you even pick a reader, go into prayer and ask Creator to connect you with somebody who can truly and sincerely help you in the best way that you need right now, right? Because the thing is, sometimes, you need to leave that relationship, but you don't want to, right? So in a situation like that, we could read on that relationship forever and ever and ever. But if the answer is that you need to leave and you're refusing to leave, then we either need to look at, well, how can we navigate within this to help you? Or can we make a plan for you to leave later, right? Phenomenal says, we also have to accept accountability. Yeah, 100%. 100%. Because the thing is, I'm not saying that we as human beings are not victimized. Everybody in here has been victimized in some way, shape, or form. But then we also play a role in certain relationships too, right? Like, once you have the awareness of what's going on, you're no longer a victim. At that point, you have to make a choice. What direction am I going to take? And just to be clear, it is a part of the healing journey for sure. I think also too, with abusive relationships, depending on what's going on, it can take years for people to get out of that. It can take years for people to plan an exit. Everybody is not necessarily in a place where they can just get up and leave. So it isn't that like they're actively wanting to stay in that. It's that they want to leave, but they're trying to find a way to get out, you know, trying to find a way to get out. And a lot of times it's easier said than done. It's easier said than done. But I would say though, it's just when it comes to that, you have to be honest with yourself about what you're coming to get a reading for. Are you coming because you want to feel better? Are you coming because you're having difficulty regulating your emotions and you want the psychic to do it for you? Are you coming because you want a genuine question? Are you coming because you want confirmation on something you believe to be true? People get readings for different reasons. Everybody doesn't get a reading to truly have their question answered. Some people just get readings because they want to feel better. They want the pain to go away. They want to be able to sleep at night. And so even if they get an answer that's not actually an accurate answer, if the answer makes them feel better in the moment, they'll take it. I wasn't going to talk about this, but Spirit is telling me to. Selena Gomez and Justin Bieber. I was like, I was tap dancing around it for a second and it just popped into my head. Time says, love hearing topics about spiritual gifts and talents. Chasing money never made me happy. The same. I had to be honest with myself about that too, because I was like, I was having this conversation with God and I was like, I have never really cared about money. And God was like, no, you haven't. You don't care about money. Like for me, I just simply see money as a tool to get things done. So for me, it has never been like the be all and end all for me. It has simply been, let me have this to get things done that I need to get done. Let me put it out there. Let me circulate the money around. Like that's the way that I look at money. I don't look at it as something that is real because it's not. I just look at it as, okay, this is a tool that we have in this physical world. And we're using this particular tool to circulate things and to get things done. Like that's how I look at money. Oh, Time says that's why you're powerful. Oh, thank you, Time. I appreciate you. Oh, Justin and Selena. Well, listen, I'm not going to, I feel like, see, the thing is, by the time Justin Bieber came out, I was an adult. He was a little boy. I was in my 20s when he came out. So I wasn't following any of that stuff at the time because I was already like in my 20s. I think I was like maybe 21, maybe give or take. But obviously as I got older, they got older and I listened to all different types of music and things. And I was just looking on the app and seeing, what's going on with Justin and Selena and his wife, Haley. And I was thinking about that song by Selena Gomez, The Heart Wants What It Wants. I think that's the name of the song. And Cherry says, can you pray for me with the finances? Yes. Everybody, actually, please pray for Cherry right now. Actually, I'm going to talk about Justin and Selena in a moment, but let's pray for Cherry. Hold an image for her of getting the money, the finances, the opportunities, the things that she needs to live the life that she is called to live. Let's imagine that coming into her now. Imagine it coming in. Imagine it circulating. And then imagine when she has enough and she's gotten the things that she needs, that she's also able to help others too. Just hold that image for her. Oh, she says, my hubby does dialysis. Okay. Let's hold an image of the best and highest good for Cherry's husband. Okay. Let's see the best and highest good. Let's see the highest expression of his soul in this lifetime. Let's see the highest expression of what his body can do in this lifetime. Let's see Cherry's family being successful and being happy. Let's see them laughing. Let's see her husband having a lot of energy. Let's see all of that. Bean says, I need prayer for healing in my liver. Please pray with me. Absolutely. Hold on, you guys. Hold on. Okay. Yes. For Bean, let's pray for Bean. They were saying they have an issue with their liver. So I want to talk about this, Bean. The liver often has to do with waste. It also has to do with cleaning and clearing out things, right? So it's very important for you to think about the things that you need to let go of, specifically past hurts. The reason I say this is because when you were talking about that, I saw an image of a little boy like elementary school age, probably no more than 11. And I just saw a little kid, and I don't know if that is connected to you in some way, like a child around you, or that's who you were. But you need to let that go. Oh, thank you, Cherry. Thank you. But let's hold an image for Bean. Let's hold an image for Bean of releasing, right? So that whatever is backing up that liver, we're letting it go. We're letting it go physically. We're letting it go mentally. We're letting it go emotionally. We're letting it go spiritually. And for some reason, Bean, I keep seeing an image of a little boy. Once again, probably no more than 11. I don't know if this is you, because I don't know what your sex is, or if you have a child. But Spirit is saying you need something about that little boy. I feel like they might be talking about, I don't know if it's your inner child or if it's you. I'm not sure. They're making me feel, though, something about, you going back to childhood. And this is before you went to junior high school. You need to talk to the little child in you and tell the little child in you that it is safe and that you're going to be the adult that child needed. Oh, you're very welcome, Cherry. You're absolutely welcome. Zone Light says, partner can't sleep, like insomnia levels, works all day, exhausted. Let's pray for Bean for a second. So everybody just hold an image of Bean, of the liver clearing and it cleansing. Ashe. Okay. Zone partner can't sleep. You know, what's going on there too, though, is what I feel. Your partner feels like, Zone, that they have to run themselves ragged in order to deserve rest. And that's actually a lesson for all of us. Like, running yourself ragged and then you get to rest is not the way to live. It's not the way to live. Bean says, I'm a girl. I don't know who the little boy is. Is there a boy around you, Bean? Like, around... This is before junior high. It would have to have been 10 or 11 years old. Or was there a boy or something that went on around that your age of like 10 or 11 that involved a boy? The reason I'm saying this is because I keep seeing a little boy. Like, whenever I'm talking to you, I keep seeing a little boy of like 10 or 11 years old. So you have to drop it in the comments and let me know if that rings a bell for you. But the major thing for you is, Bean, I feel like there are things that you are holding on to that you need to release. But of course, like, you need to get the medical attention and medical care as well. And you might want to ask yourself, what am I hiding from? Like, because I feel like there might be something in your life that you're refusing to see. And you have to understand, like the liver and the kidneys, a lot of times they cleanse things, they get rid of the waste, they push things through. So I want to thank Tony for following me. Thank you for following me. But yes, to go back to your partner that has the insomnia, part of that is because they feel like they have to earn their rest. They have to earn their reward. They feel like they can't be successful unless they basically run themselves ragged or kill themselves to do it. And that's just not true. Like, we're moving into a new energy. So that used to be the old way, where like you're working in a factory, you're doing all this stuff. You're running yourself ragged. That's not the way anymore. Oh, thank you so much, Tony. I appreciate you. Yeah. And I understand why they're doing it, because they're trying to live and they're trying to provide. But I'll tell you, and I say this from my own personal experience, running yourself ragged, what you're really saying is, I'm not worthy. Like, I'm not worthy of love. I'm not worthy of rest. I'm not worthy of relaxation. Like, I have to earn my leisure, right? Have you ever heard that, earn your leisure? It's nonsense. Nonsense. It's nonsense. You know, this world that we live in, Creator has made everything here for us for free, really. We don't have to earn our leisure, you know. So that's what I was seeing. I'm going to stay on a little bit longer, and then I'm going to get off in a second. But yes, going back to Selena Gomez and Justin Bieber, I was just thinking about her song. She did the song called The Heart Wants What It Wants. And I wanted to talk about that tonight because, just in a general sense, like what we can learn from them, what we can take from everything that we're seeing playing out with them. You can't outrun your destiny. You can't outrun your destiny. You can. And also, when it comes to magic, specifically love working, you don't get a piece of the person, you get all of them. And you just have to remember, like, it's manipulation. And if their soul doesn't want to be with you, their soul will rebel. Eventually, it will rebel. And it might look like them having a nervous breakdown. It might look like them getting really angry. It might look like them getting really violent. A lot of times when coercive magic is done on people, like a love spell really is, in my view, a love spell, like the way that people are often doing them, is coercive magic, right? Especially if that person does not actually want to be with you, right? And the thing about it, the nature of the soul is it wants to evolve. It wants to expand. It wants to grow. So you're putting something on somebody that is basically like a vise or a grip on that person's soul. And this is the thing. The minute they actually start having a relationship with God, all of those strongholds, all of that witchcraft is going to fall off of them anyway. It may not be immediate, but it's going to start falling off. And then all that's going to have to happen is they're going to connect with somebody who's a seer who can see what's on them. And then we're going to do some heavy duty prayers and we're going to take that stuff off of them. If you want to do love work, do it on yourself. Do it on yourself. That's the most powerful love work you can do. And it doesn't have to be like these huge, elaborate spells. When you get up in the morning, set your intention in your coffee. You know, people talk about honey jars. Do a sugar jar. Have a sugar jar at your table and put a little spoonful of sugar in your coffee and stir it. And as you're drinking it, invite sweetness into your life. When you're interacting with people on a daily basis and they're throwing negativity at you, don't match their energy, send it back to them. When you're putting on your lotion or your oils or you're doing your hair or you're braiding it, put words of protection in your hair. All of that, it's protection, it's love working, it's prosperity. All of that is beautiful magic. And ask God to bless you. And I think the most powerful prayer you can really pray is it the highest will and the highest good happen in your life. And if you're meant to be with that person, it's going to happen. And if you're not, what's not for you will eventually leave you. That's what I was trying to get at with, Justin and Selena. What is not for you will eventually leave you. What is for you will find its way back to you. It'll find its way back. And I'm going to tell you from personal experience of reading for a lot of people, just because somebody marries you does not mean they love you. There are people in a full-blown relationship life with somebody else thinking about somebody from 10 years ago. Phenomenal says, nope, he can stay where he is. Amen to that. Amen to that. Yeah. I mean, and I think also too, what we can learn from celebrities a lot of times, and also I would really say, pray for Justin, pray for Selena, pray for Haley. Really, celebrities experience the things that people often complain on this app about, which is people projecting stuff onto them, judging them unnecessarily, getting very polarized and negative towards them, worshiping them or hating them. That is what celebrities experience on a daily basis. Right. And I'm not giving them a pass for negative behavior, but I'm simply saying, imagine if everywhere you go, somebody is projecting stuff onto you. And it's not who you are, and it's not what you believe, and it's not what you feel, and it's not what you think, but everybody is projecting onto you. And they're projecting you're the worst person that ever did it, or you're the best, or whatever that is. Imagine that. Phenomenal says, I know what that's like. Yeah. Yeah. And it's exhausting. It's exhausting and it's overwhelming. And imagine, right, you being on a worldwide stage and you going to different countries and everybody is doing that to you, right? You can't just go to Italy and sit and have a coffee. People, so I say all that to say that sometimes celebrity is a part of a soul's evolution as well. A lot of times people that are very, very famous, yes, stars are made. This is true. But there are some people that are born that way. They're born stars and they shine. And the thing about celebrity is that if a person is really, really famous, the vast majority of the time, it's because their soul mission is connected to a lot of people, meaning that they would have to be famous or be on a world stage or something along those lines in order to fulfill their mission. I was thinking about one of my favorite singers, Selena Quintanilla Perez. We just came up on the anniversary of her passing. And Selena was only 23 years old when she passed away. But she did so much in her very short life that most people don't do in their entire lives. And when she died, it's almost like she became even more famous. Well, Selena's mission was always global. She was always meant to touch people all over the world. And even when I think about Selena Gomez was named after her. I remember the year Selena passed, there were so many women that named their daughters Selena. A lot of times when somebody is a celebrity, it is because they are meant to touch so many different lives in a very short span of time. And it'd be very difficult to do that if you're in a small town or this or that. So a lot of times spirit will imprint it on their soul that they're supposed to do something globally, right? This is why you see people like Selena Quintanilla being a huge star, or somebody like Nipsey Hussle, or somebody like Gabby Petito, the young woman, unfortunately, who lost her life as well. But all of the people I mentioned, their missions were global. They were meant to inspire others, right? Like Selena Quintanilla, I mean, her artistry, her sense of fashion, her beauty, the fact that she was a Latina and she was unapologetic about that she wasn't trying to hide it, that she wore the bright red lipstick and, had the long dark hair, in an environment, in a musical environment that was very Anglo in some cases as she was crossing over, right? But she chose to retain her roots as a Mexican American. Well, her doing that inspired so many other Latinas, right? Think of all of the young women in arts and entertainment and music and media, and they all talk about how they love Selena. And some of these women were not even here when Selena was present. Like some of them are relatively young. Hey, promoting positive mental health. Good morning. Good morning. Yes, I've been on for a minute. I realize this is it's actually late night for me. I think I'm a little bit, it's still late in the evening for me. I'm a little bit behind you guys, but it is. So, that's all I wanted to say, that just as the Selena Gomez song kind of goes, the heart wants what it wants. It does, and you should not have to convince anybody to love you. If you're trying to have to convince somebody to love you or beg somebody to love you, you're not with the right person. And also understand too, people can love you, but because of their damage and because of their trauma, they may not be able to show it properly. And even in situations like that, you got to let them go. Phenomenal says, I appreciate you. Thank you. I appreciate you too. Well, you guys, I'm going to get out of here. Also, I turned my fan off and it's like, I have my air conditioning on. I've tried to keep it low because it tends to be loud. Hi Princess says, which day can I tell you? I'm sorry, I couldn't see what you said. I appreciate everybody. Thank you guys for the roses. Thank you guys for the flowers. Thank you guys for the positive energy. Thank you promoting positive mental health. I appreciate you so much. That's so kind of you. Thank you. I appreciate everybody here tonight. I'm sorry, guys. I'm suddenly getting it's so hot in my. How can you say people are damaged? That's very insensitive. I'm not saying that the person is damaged, and I think Melantine. I don't really think you're saying that in good faith. I think that's really a bad faith question because I definitely do not believe that people are broken or damaged. I believe that things happen to them that damages them, inside, that causes damage. But I don't believe that a person is inherently damaged. And if you were here at the beginning of the live, you would have heard everything that we talked about in terms of people having inherent worth. So I really think that that's a really bad faith question. And I really don't appreciate that. I don't, because I know you're not telling the truth, and you're not telling the truth either. If you were genuine and sincere about that question, I would entertain it a little bit more. But you and I both know you're just saying that to be provocative, and you're saying it to derail the energy because we have so much healing in the room. So, you need to have a serious conversation with yourself about why you ask questions like that, because you didn't really mean that. You weren't even looking for a real answer. Spades are spades. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, but this is the thing. We have to start calling out the energy. Cause I just don't have time for that. I don't have time for the bad faith conversations or the false outrage. And what really irritated me is that she had a watermelon in her profile for Palestine, which I support wholeheartedly. And I just don't like it when people have these bad faith, false outrage conversations in a place where people are healing and coming together and laughing. It's just not cool. And as a psychic and as a telepath, when I see people being dishonest, I have to call it out because I just don't have time for it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that's the thing. But yes, but to get back to that, sometimes damage can be done to somebody. Now, does that mean that they're damaged goods? Obviously not. Obviously not. But people can be hurt and people can feel broken inside, and those things can happen. And when they do, it is very difficult for them to show love in a way that people can feel, right? I'm going back to Justin Bieber, for example. Folks can feel how they want to feel about him, but he became famous at like 11 years old, 12 years old. I remember because I was in my 20s at that time. And I distinctly remember living in New York, and I remember hearing about this little kid, Justin Bieber, and I had younger cousins that were like around his age and they really liked him. And I remember that. And so this child has been famous since he was like 11 years old. I'm not giving him a pastor's behavior. He's done some really problematic things. But when you are thrust into the spotlight at a very young age, and the adults around you are not necessarily teaching you, they're not, and you're the breadwinner for your entire family, for your community. You feel what I'm saying? Like, once again, I'm not giving him a pass. I'm just simply saying that all the things I just mentioned kind of set the stage for somebody to be out of balance, for somebody to be very entitled, for somebody to maybe demand things from people because they were able to easily get it, So, exactly. Oh, Phenomenal says Diddy had a hand in that. He did. He did. Yeah, he did. Yeah, I talked about that too. I mean, Spirit was showing that, hip hop being on trial, and it will continue to be, unfortunately. It's one of the things that saddens me about the music industry is that there are so many creative people that just want to make art. And then you have these greedy people, many of whom are not creative at all, that want to control everything and play God. And I almost wonder if there's a jealousy towards the people that have the talent. Like that there's an anger or a jealousy and a greed about wanting to control that talent. Because it often feels like people are trying to play God. Lana says, or Jana says, I'm sorry, I hope that he gets the help he needs. I hope he does too. I really, really do. I hope he does too. Barry says, I'm working through emotional damage due to my husband's words, actions from his own damage. It's been hard. Yeah, exactly. Because we're in a day and age now where people are finally starting to talk about therapy and healing and things like that. But even like a good decade ago, people were not talking about that the way we're talking about it openly now. Vampires stealing your innocence, 100%. And that's the thing too, magically. That is what low-level energy, that's what vampiric energy does. It looks for a hole, it looks for an opening, it looks for a weakness, and it capitalizes on it. This is a thing that I do want to impress upon people, so that you can kind of keep your wits about you and not get taken advantage of, or if it does happen, you get out of there quicker. Abusive people will always look for a hole or an opening. So they might say something to you and they'll try to see if it's going to trigger a response in you. And if it does, then they're like, oh, that's what this person is insecure about. So I'm going to keep needling at that until they explode. Or if it's something like, oh, this person has money problems. Well, let me come in and act like, I'm going to take care of you financially. Abusive people always look for a hole or an opening that they can come through in order to capitalize on you. This is why, dating, friendship, whatever, you want to be at a level 10 in terms of your self-esteem, because it allows you to spot predatory behavior quicker. If you're in a space of neediness, like you need somebody to take care of you financially, or you're emotionally broken down, or whatever is going on, unfortunately, that is when the predators come in, because they often look for strong people in weakened states. Yeah, now God has been showing me things I've never heard or known. 100%. Barry says, thank you. I'm a nurse practitioner. She says that to Phenomenal. That takes care of everyone. Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting too. When I'm reading for people, everyone obviously is not a professional psychic, medium, or intuitive. That doesn't mean that people don't have gifts. Most nurses that I've read for are empaths. And a lot of them are mediums actually too, like meaning that like they're mediums in the sense they can see sickness in the body. They can see it. A lot of doctors too. A lot of surgeons are very, very clairvoyant. Barry says, "Oh, I'm definitely both." Yeah, 100%. I mean, a lot of here's the thing. I've read for so many nurses and doctors, more nurses than doctors, but a lot of nurses that are empaths and mediums. I've read for a lot of doctors that are mediums. I've read for lawyers that are psychic and telepathic. And if you think about it, it makes sense because they have to determine whether or not people are lying. you know, a lot of teachers who are empaths, um, a lot of musicians who are very, very psychic, very psychic. A lot of musicians who are physical mediums where they actually channel the music. And like I write music as well. And when I write, a lot of the stuff I write, I channel. Like I think back to stuff, I started writing music when I was about 19, when I was a student at NYU. And a lot of the stuff that I wrote at the time, like some of it did relate to my life, but a lot of it was channeling or seeing my future or the futures of other people. And I would read some of the stuff back that I wrote and I would be like, well, that doesn't really like describe my life at this time. Some of the stuff I wrote was my future though that I was seeing. Barry says I need to schedule a reading. Sounds like randomly found your page at 333 because I couldn't sleep. Oh, 333, the angel numbers. Yeah, and that's the divine number. Well, yeah, if you're welcome to, if you want to schedule a reading, you can go to NicoleBowman.biz or you can click my link tree here on TikTok and it'll take you to my website. Phenomenal says me too. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. You can definitely schedule. I'm normally available Monday through Thursday and then some Saturdays. You could just go to my website and see what's available. But yep, I think I said it earlier in the live. Readings start because I just offered a more accessible option for people, email readings. Email readings start at $50 and then they go up from there. And then phone readings start at $75 and they go up from there. So it's more dependent upon the time and what you need to do, etc. But yep, I am here. But sure, yeah, yeah, absolutely. But this year of 2025 is going to be challenging. Into 2026, I feel like there's something about the ship that's gonna it's gonna get right. That's the best way I can describe it. But 2025 is just it's nonsensical. So just, pray, drink your water, get your food in bulk, have your pantry and just kind of ride out that wave. And if you are a digital nomad or you're a traveler, it might be a good idea for you to find a place that you can stay like every 3 to 6 months and then move versus like moving every couple of weeks or however you do it. I also feel, I just got a flash of this before I get off of here. Anybody who's doing like van life, specifically if it's through the United States, be careful. Be careful. Because I feel like they're going to start, they've already started. I feel like they're going to criminalize homelessness, but they're going to kind of like also lump van life into that, where like traveling or parking here or doing this, like it's already kind of criminalized, but I kind of have a feeling that it could increase is what I'm trying to say. So take care of yourselves. So I'm getting ready to get out of here. But yeah, I would say definitely, what is for you is going to be for you and what is not will leave you. And the last thing I will say before we get off of here, I was thinking about Siskel and Ebert. I don't know if you guys know who they are. I think most people here, if you were born in the 80s or 90s, you do. If you're born after that, you probably don't. But Siskel and Ebert, they were film critics. They would review movies, right? And Gene Siskel did not or Roger Ebert rather, of Siskel and Ebert, he did not intend to be a film critic. That was not his pathway. I can't remember what he wanted to do, but somebody had asked him, like, I want to be just like you. How did you get to where you're at? And he basically said, I can tell you what I did, but that's my path and not yours. So I could tell you what I did, and you could probably do all the things I did, and you could end up on a completely different journey. And so I'm saying all that to everybody to say, walk your path. Ask God for the highest expression of your path. Oh, thank you, Phenomenal. Thank you for being here. Thank you for everybody for sharing. Yeah, I'm an 80s baby. Phenomenal is a 70s baby. Yeah, I'm an 80s baby. 80s baby. I'm a millennial. My millennial heart. But yeah, walk your path, you know. And here's the thing. Love that 1980. Yep, me too. 80s baby. But walk your path. And always pray the prayer to have the highest expression of your soul's journey in this lifetime. Because when you pray for the highest expression, the things that are not for you are going to fall away. And if they don't fall away, it's going to be presented to you in such a way where you're like, okay, this is not for me, and I'm going to let it go. So I'm going to surround us with the light of divine spirit. I pray that everybody, whether it's nighttime, daytime, whatever it is for you, that you are divinely protected and guided. And do not take on energy that is not your own. Walk in your energy, walk in your light, walk in your truth. We're putting some divine light around everybody, keeping it in close to the body, giving everybody a little bit of this sweet pink energy. And Ashe. All right, y'all. I'm going to get out of here. For readings, you can click the link in my bio here on TikTok or go to NicoleBowman.biz. I also have a newsletter as well. And I wish you guys so much joy and peace. And you guys have a beautiful weekend, okay? So I think we're there. I'm going to log off now.